Welcome back to the McCoy Leadership Podcast, elevating your impact through valuable insights and conversations about leadership. Welcome back to another episode of the McCoy Leadership Podcast, and today we have Brandon Barnum with us. Brandon is a serial entrepreneur, has had over 10 startups in recent times, and I think he's going to tell us a little bit about some of them and that they were all successful and there were no road bumps along the way, if I'm not mistaken. He's laughing already. And also, I think Brandon can share a little bit with us. He became a single dad in 1997 and was kind of early into the technological world, and he has all kinds of startups and currently is the CEO of HOA.com. He is oftentimes referred to as the king of referrals. So with that, Brandon, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thanks, Amos. Appreciate you having me. Okay, well, a little bit about myself. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, run HOA.com, as you mentioned, a tech platform where we're really creating community as a service, which is pretty interesting. Nobody's ever done that before. And yeah, serial entrepreneur. I love helping business professionals and being in the business conversation. And so out to change the world and impact every person on the planet. And right now we're doing that through HOA.com.
Awesome. And today we hope to get into talking about networking a little bit. But as kind of a segue, you're known as the king of referrals. Does that involve any networking and getting to know people?
The networking is definitely a part of it. Absolutely. Relationships are critical. But yeah, I got started back in the late 90s. As you mentioned, I was a single dad. And when I got custody of my son, he was 2 years old and I was making about $20,000 a year. And I had to make a change because I couldn't afford my mortgage and the daycare payment. So anyway, I got into the mortgage industry and I had somebody mentor me. And I really want to talk a lot about mentorship in this podcast because it's so important. But they mentored me and taught me the art and science of raving referrals, or at least what I now call raving referrals. And I was able to 10x my income from $20,000 a year to $200,000 a year within 18 months. And since then, I've gone on to create or really close over $500 million in transactions by referral. And now I teach and train referrals to anyone who will listen.
That's amazing. So 10 times in 18 months, from 20,000 to 200,000 in 18 months. That's huge.
It was life-changing, and it just gave me the freedom to live the life that I wanted. And so that's why I've been on a mission to help as many other people as possible unlock the power of referrals in their business.
Now, before we get to talking about mentorship, you just said it allowed you to live the life you wanted to live. And
yes,
so does that mean that you only work an hour or so a day and you have, the rest of the day free, you just kick back and the money keeps rolling in? Is that how it works?
Oh, yeah, exactly. For me, I've realized that business is my love language. I said that to my wife about a month ago, and she's like, that is so true. So for me, I love the conversation of business. I love being around entrepreneurs or leaders and having a conversation around what we're doing. So for me, business is not just what I do for work, it's what I do for fun. And I have great conversations with people all the time. So I wouldn't say I'm a workaholic because I love it, but I'm usually up till midnight, 1 a.m, working on building my empire, right? And really it's about serving as many people as possible. That's what it comes down to. I teach my team, we help people. And when you do that, and that's the product or the service that you provide, it's pretty juicy, man. And I would love to be in this conversation every second, every day.
So I'm just curious because from my end, I love what I do as well. And it's hard for me when someone says, well, what does a day of work look like for you? It's hard sometimes for me to separate necessarily work and life because it's all one, because I enjoy what I do. What about you?
Yeah, same, absolutely. I mean, the reality is I have the freedom to do what I want, when I want, with who I want. And so I really don't ever have to do anything I don't want to do. And so when you're in that position, life is really fun.
So for everybody listening, maybe one of the secrets to life is if you can do what you love to do and get paid for it, it doesn't seem like work, right?
It's just play. Absolutely. It's fun every day. So part of that is building your team. And this podcast is all about leadership, right? So you have to cast the vision as a leader, especially when you're a startup. We started this company a little over 5 years ago. And at the time, our vision was just to connect homeowners to professionals they can trust. And we didn't have the domain HOA.com. We were the homeowneralliance.com. And so we had an initial vision, and along the journey, you learn and you expand and you evolve, and the mission and the vision and the purpose of your company becomes clearer. And then it's about building your team and enrolling other people that carry that vision and share those values and go build that dream. And so, I can say that now it's a lot of fun. Honestly, between the two of us, Amos, there were some times, early days, it wasn't that much fun, but now it is, because we're enjoying the fruits of the roots.
Now, wait a minute. Now, just between the two of us and the million listeners maybe that might listen to this episode, right? So you're saying that maybe at the very beginning, there were tasks that you had to do that you didn't enjoy that much in order to get to where you are.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I would say even 6 months ago, that was true. And I consistently look at, what am I doing and what am I best at? Where should I be putting my talents and skills? And what should I be deferring to other people on the team? And so I'm constantly looking at that for my own life, so that I really focus on three things: partnerships, presentations, and podcasts. That's what I love doing. I've got a team of people that are running day-to-day operations that allow me to focus on creating partnerships, giving presentations, and doing podcasts like this. And when I stay in my strength and zone of genius, then that's where I add the most value to my organization. But I can only do that with quality people that are managing their areas of genius.
So obviously you didn't start out with this amazing team. You started out probably just with you as you got started. And I'm curious, because I think it's valuable for our listeners. When you got started, did you have a vision that you were going to be where you are today, or were you just thinking about getting through tomorrow?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it was definitely about tomorrow. We had a longer term vision. Our vision initially when we started this company was to create a referral network of professionals who serve homeowners, specifically like a BNI power team just for professionals who served homeowners, because there is no such thing. So that's how we started. But along the way, what happened was I was talking to my business partner. We were thehomeowneralliance.com. And I said to him, this domain is too long. It won't fit on the side of a bus. It's so long. We need something shorter and better. And if we could wave our magic wand and have any domain on the planet, what would it be? Well, we were Home Owner Alliance, HOA. And I just thought, let me just see what's at HOA.com. And at that point, the owner of HOA.com was licensing vanity email domains. So I quickly bought Brandon at HOA.com. And after I got that, I reached out to him and said, hey, if my name was available, you're probably not selling as many of these emails as you'd like to. And I told them that I had just exited refer.com. We built that to 5 million members. And now we're creating a platform to connect homeowners with professionals they can trust. And so made him an offer he couldn't refuse. And here we are. And that completely changed the trajectory of our company, because now we're in the HOA business. And I don't know if you know this, Amos, but in the US, 53% of all homeowners live in a homeowner association. And most don't love their HOA. So we're like, this is a massive community, a massive opportunity, and it's a massive challenge that we think we can improve for the betterment of everyone.
The only downside is for the few listeners that are part of the hillbillies of America, they're now upset because they can't get HOA.com. Sorry, I've been known to have bad jokes sometimes in the middle. So thinking about that journey and how you got there, and what our subject for today is talking about turning networking into something fun. Before we get to talking about how you do that, my question to you is, was networking always fun for you?
No, I don't think networking is fun for most people. Now, there are certain personality styles that really get charged up when they go and they meet new people. That's not true for everyone. A lot of people feel uncomfortable when it comes to going out and meeting strangers, especially at a networking event. So I had to learn it. I had to learn the skills and kind of what to do and crack the code on how to really make it as effective as possible and as fun as possible. And later in my career, it got fun because I shifted my mindset around it. And a lot of your experience is your mindset around, quite frankly, anything you do, but networking specifically. When you go in with the right attitude, it's a lot more fun than if you're going in anxious.
And as I relay about almost anything that you can talk about, it's always nice to remind, especially people starting in their career and maybe being put into these awkward positions where they're now in a room full of people they don't know and they need to network. Whatever that skill is, it's learnable. And every expert or everybody, when you look around the room and see people that you're thinking, how do they just do this? And you know, I don't feel comfortable. Every expert was once a beginner, right? So I think It's important to remind people, even myself, we talked right before the show, networking is not one of my favorite things to do. I have fun when I do it now, but still to this day, I leave a networking event and I'm kind of drained a little bit because, you know, It takes a lot of effort to network with people. So what, you know, strategies can you kind of think of or recommend that people would start to work that they can start to look at this and change their mindset and make it a little more fun?
Well, first of all, visualize your success going in. Have a goal and an objective, right? So what is it that you want to get out of going to this networking event?
If you have out of the vision, I want to get out of the room as quick as I can. Is that okay?
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
That's
I'm kidding.
Amos. If that's your purpose. But here's the thing. We talked about mindset, right? If you have the mindset of, I want to leave the room as fast as possible, guess what? You're not going to have a good time.
Absolutely.
But if you're out there on sort of a treasure hunt and you're like, you know what? The opportunities, the people that I'm looking for may be in this room. How do I find those? Okay. The first thing that you want to do is connect with the leaders of the event. A lot of people don't do this, but the reality is if you're there looking for a specific type of person or professional, the people that are leading the networking event tend to know the other people that are attending the networking event. And so let's say you're looking to meet a CPA or a business owner or something specific, right? If you go to that leader of that event or even at the registration check-in table as you're getting checked in for the event, you just let them know, hey, by the way, I'm looking to meet a great CPA. Do you know if there are any here at this event? If there are, they're going to connect you. I'm looking for somebody that's in HR that works for a company, you know, that has 100+ employees. Well, if you communicate who you're out to connect with and you really have that vision and that goal going into it, the people that are leading that event can connect you. And so rather than bumbling around, meeting strangers, trying to bump into the right person that's going to add value to your business, come with a plan and ask the people in charge if they can make an introduction for you.
So I think, you know, I'm just thinking back even to myself. I think right there, I didn't think it was probably okay to ask, like, I'm looking for something, you know, I'm looking for a photographer for an event. Are there any going to be here?
Right.
So one, I think accepting, and you're suggesting that it's okay to go to the people organizing the networking event, which I guess we have to remember. Everybody at a networking event is there for a reason. They're either, they have a problem, they're looking for a solution, or, well, really, I guess that's what it boils down to, because even if you're looking for business, you still have a problem and you're looking for a solution. You need somebody to pay you to do something. So everybody's looking for something.
Correct. And Amos, the reality is the people that are putting on the event, they're there to facilitate connections. And so by you communicating clearly and saying, this is who I'm hoping to connect with, you allow them to do their job more effectively and add more value. And the beauty is they're not only adding value to you, they're also adding value to that photographer they get you connected to, right? Because commerce only happens when two people connect. A problem finds a solution. And when you meet with the leaders of the event, you're giving them the ability to serve both you and the person they're connecting you with.
But you know what, Brandon, I just still don't like getting in front of people. And, you know, with technology the way it is, I have LinkedIn and Facebook, and I don't even have to leave my house. So what's the
Right.
difference? Why would I want to go to a networking event when I can sit behind my computer and send messages to people on LinkedIn and just hope that they answer me?
Well, there's a couple different reasons. One is you're never going to have the same level of connection online as you will in person, right? Amos, if you and I are sitting there having a cup of coffee and we're talking face to face, we have a better emotional connection than we ever will on Zoom or online. So getting belly to belly with people face to face accelerates the relationship building process. And you know what a lot of people don't realize is that 84% of business to business sales and transactions come through referral. That's relationship. You can be out there scouting for business on LinkedIn and just filling your calendar with strangers. And will you succeed? Yes. However, it's a long slog. And what I mean by that is when you work by referrals, 90% of humans trust recommendations from other people. And so if you sell to business owners, you need somebody that is singing your praises and walking you in and scheduling. Like I just met with the CEO of Remax last week, but that happened because somebody introduced me to him. I wasn't just blindly doing outreach, right? And this is my second time meeting him, but somebody had connected us and said, Eric Carlson, you need to meet Brandon Barnum. That process, if I were just coldly reaching out to the CEO of Remax and LinkedIn, number one, it would never have happened. And number two, he wouldn't have given me the same listening that he did. But because of that personal introduction, that referral, that facilitated everything. So there's just no comparison to getting face-to-face with people and also getting introductions because it accelerates trust.
So you mentioned connection, the emotional connection of meeting in person. Can you replicate that without meeting in person? And what maybe, I guess what I'm really getting at is what is the difference between communicating with somebody and connecting with somebody?
Oh, wow. Big difference is the listening. And, you know, I want to back up one step and then let's get to that. But the one step was your mindset. When you're going into events, what are you there for? And a lot of people feel uncomfortable because they feel like they're always having to sell, right? They have a sales mentality and energy to them. And when you shift your focus from selling to truly just serving, then there's no anxiety because it's not about you, it's really about the other person. When you focus on being interested in the people that you're talking to instead of focusing on being interesting, which is what most of us do, right? We want to sound interesting. We want to impress the other person that we're talking to. Well, the best way to impress them is to listen and really learn who they are. What are they up to? What are the challenges that they're facing? And when you'll ask more questions and let your prospect or the other people speak twice as much as you do, you learn a ton about them and you can facilitate faster relationships and transactions.
So I got to tell you kind of a funny story on that line. I was training a salesperson in the nonprofit membership world. And I was doing a ride along with them, and they had a great plan all laid out of how they're going to sell and so on and so forth. And after we went into the first one, I said, when we go to the next one, let me, do the talking and work through, and then let's discuss the differences. And so we went into it, and I just asked the, prospective member some questions about their company, so on and so forth. Then after they explained their company, I said, well, how are you handling this part? And they explained, actually, we're having some trouble there. And they kind of went through. And so at the end of the day, I found a couple of pain points. And one of those, I said, hey, there's something I can offer that could help that. The other one I can't help you with, but I might be able to introduce you to somebody, that can. But anyhow, the conversation that ensued afterwards was the guy was the salesman that I was training was kind of uptight because he had a system and it didn't work. And I fell outside of the system. And then when we went to the next client, he really got confused because my tactic completely changed because their set of problems and things that were happening were completely different. And there was an opportunity, which normally I would never try to sell them, so to speak, on the first visit.
Right.
But this customer, I could save them a significant amount of money right there on the spot because they were in the middle of a project getting ready to pull the trigger on something that I could get them a discount on.
Fantastic.
So I'm like, look, if you sign up right now before you pull the trigger there, whether you like it or not, I can save you more than what your membership is. And I just want you to know that.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was interesting that you just said about listening. That is the most valuable thing in the world, I think, whether it's people, businesses, or whatever, is just listening to what's happening around you.
It's so true. And what you're talking about is the salesman that you were shadowing was just in automatic mode, right? And so he was giving his pitch regardless of how the other person was thinking or feeling, because it was about his product, his service. And when we stop selling, and we just do what you did, which is ask questions, more of a consultative sales approach, and really uncover and discover what issues your prospect or client is facing, and then focus on helping them get the solution that they're looking for. You're right. Sometimes there's going to be opportunities that get uncovered where you can ask for the sale right then, because really you're not selling them, you're serving them.
So when you're meeting with people and you're creating this connection, and actually, I guess we'll back up, what is that difference between communicating and connecting?
Well, it's exactly what we're talking about. It's asking questions. Communicating is usually, I have a message that I'm trying to share with you, right? Questions is really, I'm learning about you. So first and foremost, start with the other person. You and I were talking a little bit about personality science before we started this podcast. And this is one of the things that I like to start with, because I ask people, do you want to see a magic trick? And I carry these 4 little bank code cards with me anytime I'm out at a networking event. And 100% of the time when I've asked somebody, do you want to see a magic trick? 100% of the time they say yes. Then what I do is I hand them these 4 plastic cards. And on these cards are 4 different personality styles. One says blueprint, one says action, one says nurturing, and one says knowledge. And in addition to blueprint, action, nurturing, or knowledge, each of those cards has 12 different values associated with it. So when we're talking about blueprint, it says stability, structure, systems, planning, processes, predictability, and some others, right? So a blueprint personality type is somebody that likes to color inside the lines. They're very organized, they're on time, they're strategic, they're process driven, and they want a predictable outcome, right? Then you've got the action type that's very instant, net it out for me quick, right? They love the freedom, the flexibility, spontaneity, opportunity, excitement, attention. And so for them, they don't need all the details. Whereas a blueprint personality wants to understand the step-by-step process. Well, the way you connect with those 2 people is very different. The third personality type is nurturing, and this is somebody that loves people and community and relationships and teamwork and charity and ethics, right? They're all about people, more than process, more than profit. And then you've got the knowledge personality type that's about learning and intelligence and self-mastery and science. And these people are more the engineers. They want to understand why things work and how they work. And so what I do is I hand people these 4 cards. And then I say, do me a favor, look at the information on these cards, sort them in order of what's most like you to least like you. It'll help me serve you better and save us both time. And what happens, Amos, is that in 30 seconds of me handing these cards to somebody, they'll give them back and they'll tell me the order of their personality style. Well, what I'm doing there is the conversation is 100% about them. I haven't said anything about me at this point. I'm just learning about them. They hand me the cards back, 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds. They've just told me who they are. And so now I'm reading the cards back to them in the order that they've said. And I say, oh, Amos, that's fascinating. So your action first and foremost. Okay, so you like to win big fast, and I'm just going to net it out and not waste a lot of time with the details with you because you just want to understand how to be the belle of the ball. And, you love the red carpet and being in front of the camera, don't you? And they're like, yeah, right? Because you're telling them who they've just told you they are. And then I'll say, oh, and now you're nurturing second. So because you're action nurturing, I see you're more intuitive. You're going to trust your gut and make decisions based on your intuition more than the information. Is that true? And they're like, yeah, that's who I am. So I use that process to discover who somebody is, and then I communicate back to them who they've just told me they are. And what happens is, typically within 90 to 180 seconds, I've built more rapport faster than anything else. And now I understand the person in front of me. I at least understand how they're wired and how they make buying decisions. Because if they're high blueprint on the alternative, I know that I've got to give them all the information to make a wise, informed decision. And they need to understand what is our step-by-step process. Right? So if I'm selling to a blueprint or a knowledge personality, it's very different than an action or nurturing. But why I like this process is it's instant empathy. Within 2 to 3 minutes of meeting somebody, I understand who they are, how they think, and now I can serve them more effectively because I customize my conversation and my presentation based on their personality style.
How valuable. So in full disclosure, I'm a DISC consultant. So I utilize DISC not only with my clients, in a formal manner, but I utilize it as well. And what you just described is different wording, but very similar to DISC in the 4 personality profiles. And I just, how valuable that could be to have that in your pocket. Now, is bank card something that anybody can go out and get and utilize? Is this a tool that people can find?
Yeah, it's bank code, and people can go and they can do a search for bank code. The cards are $20 for a set of 4 cards that they can keep with them. It's from the book Why They Buy by Sherry Tree.
Okay.
And so the book is fascinating because she really created the system to understand her prospects better, because then if she could present information to them in a way that they make buying decisions, what she learned is that she could increase her conversion rates by up to 300%. So yeah, you can absolutely go search for bank code and find the bank cards and buy a set online. And it's just a fascinating system. I've never seen anything that builds relationship and really rapport as fast as this.
Well, and John Maxwell has been noted to say people don't care what you know until they know how much you care, which I think is true. But how much more could you care than saying, look, I want to give you the best that I can, and I'm just asking, who are you and how should I interact with you, immediately shows care.
It does.
And as a side note, I actually have 4 different proposals for my clients after I meet my clients and talk with them and assess what personality traits they are. If in my world, if they're a high D, which would be your action person, then I am going to give them a 1-page proposal with bullet points on it because we've already talked about it. And if I give them a 14-page proposal with detailed, they'll never read it. They'll never get to the end of it. And
that's right.
Vice versa, the 14-page I am giving to the blueprint person, and they love it because,
absolutely.
And some people look at that, and I think it's worth drawing a little bit of attention to. Is this manipulation of people? And I would say no, it is understanding people.
Amos, I would say it's leadership.
Yes.
You're leading people to the outcome that they desire and deserve. And quite frankly, you're serving them more effectively because you are customizing your proposal based on the person. I think you're serving them more effectively, but ultimately that's about leadership. You as a leader see that you can customize your conversation or presentation and your proposal to the individual prospect, and you're really serving them in a way that most people aren't. Well done.
So I like everything you've said. It all makes sense. And so now I'm getting ready to go to my networking event tonight. And, well, I'm busy. I just haven't had time. I don't know. Should I prepare? Should I even think about it, or should I just wing it? Is that a mistake that people sometimes make as they're going into it? Should you prepare? And maybe another question is, how do you personally prepare yourself to go to a networking event?
Well, first of all, what I would say is bring a buddy, right? Because if you coordinate that you're going to go to an event with somebody else, first of all, I love inviting people to events, because even if they don't show up, it gives me a reason to reach out to them and add value, invite them out to an event. Most people say no, so you get credit for inviting them, and it's not, I'm just calling to touch base or check up or follow up. I never like saying any of those words. Anytime I connect with somebody, I want to add value to them. Well, inviting them to an event that can grow their business adds value. So find a networking buddy, somebody that you can go actually attend the event with. And once you've got somebody else that's coming, now you're committed. There's no going back. You're not going to opt out last minute because you don't feel like it, because now you've got somebody else that is expecting you to be there, and you're going to work the room with them. You want to make sure they understand who you're looking to connect with, and that you're scouting for connections for them. And the beauty is, when you work an event with somebody else, you have a better time, because you're not sitting there all alone, awkwardly wondering who you should talk to next. In fact, you're able to create natural, organic conversations with your buddy who you're building a relationship with, and it leads to others as well. So that's first and foremost. As far as presentation and preparation, you can have brochures with you. I don't like to pitch slap people. And a lot of times when I go to a networking event, I feel like I get pitch slapped, right? Somebody's just met me, and before ever asking a question, they're telling me all about what they're doing. I call that pitch slapping, right? Forget about that. Find out about the other person, right? Is this your first time at this event? Do you come here regularly, right? Who are you looking to meet? Find out who they want to meet. And maybe you already know the type of people that they're looking to connect with. And again, you can add value early in the relationship. If you show up as a giver rather than a taker, you'll have a way better experience, and you will generate way better results.
One of my things, I never offer business cards or anything. I try to concentrate on just getting to know the people. And many times at the end of the conversation, they're asking me, do you have a business card? Do you have some contact information? And I think there it feels less transactional. You know, sometimes
Correct.
If it's the other way around, it's like, all right, I have 32 business cards and I need to give them all out. You know,
Right.
And then I'm going to go home and put that in my spreadsheet that I gave 32 business cards out. It didn't get me anywhere. So you often talk about referrals as the key driver for growth.
Yes.
How can you connect, your networking and connecting with people? Is that going to help you grow your referrals and expand your network? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so networking is about meeting new people. And again, I always have a plan and a purpose when I'm going to an event. I just don't blindly go to an event and stumble upon people. I have some sort of agenda or outcome I'm looking to accomplish or achieve. So I have a mission going into the meeting of who I want to meet. Why am I there? If I'm just there blindly stumbling across people, that's where it's not a lot of fun. So I just don't do that. Now, if I'm going, like I was just at the RE/MAX conference in Las Vegas last week, right? We were launching our new book, Raving Referrals for Real Estate Agents. I'm there launching a new certified HOA specialist designation for the real estate industry. So I'm looking for partners. Now, when I go to an event, I have an objective. In that case, partnerships. We talk about the power of referrals, and quite frankly, it's the power of partnerships that makes the big difference. So while I was there, one of the people that I was meeting with was the program manager of partnerships for pods moving and storage. It's somebody that I featured in my book or the company, and we're looking to do a partnership with pods. So I was able at that event to meet somebody that is a potential partner and has the ability to add a lot of value to all of the homeowners that we serve nationwide. So I've got a mission, and I'm looking for specific people. I was talking to the vice president of the CE shop, continuing education. Why? Because they educate not only realtors, but mortgage lenders, financial planners, insurance agents, and tradespeople, all of the people that I serve in our community of HOA.com. So I spent 2 nights with the guy. We went to the One Republic concert together, right? And we went and had a steak dinner together. And so investing in relationships that are strategic and have the ability to 10x your business, that's where I focus my intention on. But it starts with that word intention. Have a plan, look for what you're looking to accomplish or achieve, and then communicate it. Tell other people, this is who I'm looking for, or the type of company I'm looking to connect with, who's in the room or even outside of the room that you might be able to connect with that I can add tremendous value to.
So backing up to something you said at the beginning, you talked about mentorship and said that we wanted to get and touch on that. And thinking through all of this, first of all, can you give us an idea of what those mentors look like to you and how did they really help you in your journey?
Oh, mentorship has been incredibly powerful for me. My personal mentor for the last 21 years is Mark Victor Hansen. He wrote those books, Chicken Soup for the Soul. He's the world's #1 nonfiction best-selling author. He's sold over 600 million books. So Mark's been my mentor for over 20 years. He's expanded my vision for what's possible, and much of my life purpose of uplifting, inspiring, and empowering every person on the planet comes from his vision that I've adopted as my own. So I think you can't really overstep the power of mentors. On our board, like our advisory board for HOA.com, I was just talking to the woman that President Trump just endorsed as the next governor of Arizona, where I live. And she's a 30-year development attorney. She's joined our advisory board, and I was just chatting with her the other day. And the beauty of mentors is that they teach you things that you don't know, and they connect you to people that you don't know as well. So yesterday, she connected me to the man she says is the #1 in the U.S. about creating community living, right? Because that's important to us at HOA.com. So tomorrow I'm doing a podcast with the president of EXP Commercial. And, this man is highly connected in the real estate industry. And because of that, he's connected. We just did a partnership, or we've agreed to a partnership with a company that has 700,000 real estate agents. And they're rolling out our new certified HOA specialist program because of that referral that led to a partnership. So when you're a business owner, business leader, you just can't overlook the power of partnerships. And those partnerships happen faster when you get referred to the person at the top.
So mentorship, something that I have thought about a lot over the past couple of years. First of all, can you buy mentorship?
Well, you can hire coaches and consultants. So I think there is a way to do that. I've certainly hired plenty of coaches over the years and gotten some great mentorship. But I've found the best mentorship is somebody that believes in the mission and the vision that we are on, and that we enroll them as a mentor in helping us accomplish that together.
Interesting. I would agree. I recently, in an interview, we talked about mentorship, and the idea came out that mentorship should be something where neither of you are receiving anything monetarily other than which I guess you could say is still monetary, but no money. Because if you're paying me as a consultant, but you think I'm going to be your mentor, you're still paying me, and I need to do certain things in order to satisfy you.
Right.
And hence, maybe I'm not going to be completely honest. And I like to believe that maybe I am, and so on and so forth. But the reality is you're paying me. And so that was why I asked the question. And I think mentorship is often overlooked. My other question around that is, so, okay, I'm now a CEO and I'm an owner. If I reach out and look for a mentor, doesn't that show that I'm weak?
Yeah, not at all. I think the people that are weak are the ones that don't ask for help. And they're the ones that get stuck, and then they feel all alone and isolated. And the more powerful people ask for help and enroll other people in coming together. And again, it comes down to the vision. If you've got a vision, you need to enroll others into it. If you're a leader, your job as the leader is to help other people see the vision of the world that you're creating, how your product and service is going to impact people. And through that process, you're going to attract and then enroll people as mentors. I don't have a problem paying people for being a business coach and providing that mentorship. I like this saying from Les Brown. He says, you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. And so while, like Mark Victor Hansen, I don't pay Mark. We're friends now. It's been over 20 years. I have paid him. I've hired him to come speak at events that I've done before. So there has been an exchange of money, but I haven't hired him as a coach. I've hired others as coaches and found incredible mentorship from them. But I think it's not only important to have a mentor, I think it's also important to be a mentor. Don't you, Amos?
Absolutely. And to be honest, and we'll come back to that maybe here in a second, I think it's very important on top of that to be a mentor to the young folks. And I'm talking middle school and high school. We as business leaders and leaders in the world really need to make sure that we are doing everything we can to mentor the youth that are coming up, because we all had it. It was there.
Yeah, that's right.
And we can't forget about that. And the other thing, this is the second time I've said this in a podcast. So by the time these air, I guess I really better get my act together and get this video done. But it's laying here on my desk because I've been working on it, and it's discovering how to truly connect with your team. But one of the tips that I give in the video is use storytelling to convey your vision. Stories create emotional connections that statistics simply can't. And how that all ties together. But you were talking about vision. And if we can get our vision across and get our vision out there, that is how we connect. And if we can do that with a great story, it even helps that much more for that connection. So,
Amos, it's huge. And I'll tell you what, I like to tell a story about what we do at HOA.com, because we're connecting communities. And when you think about it, years back, decades ago, communities really were connected. And especially since 2020, that hasn't been the case. But we're, as I mentioned at the beginning, creating community as a service. Part of the way that we do that is to connect neighbors together. And we have 100 different community impact events and campaigns, and one of them is a community barbecue. And recently we were having one of these where I live in the Phoenix area, and so I got to go out and just enjoy it and be a part of it. It was put on by a realtor and a mortgage lender. They're farming, they're working this local community where they want to be the top trusted realtor and mortgage lender, so they threw a community barbecue. And there were about 50 people that came out on a Saturday, and they were grilling burgers and hot dogs. And it was so cool, man, because the dads are playing cornhole, the kids are playing kickball, and the moms were just listening to music, dancing, giggling, having a good time. But the coolest part for me is I looked around at one point, and I looked at every person in the park, and not one person was on their cell phone. Everyone was just connecting with people and having fun, right? Like it used to be. And so I love to tell that story, to your point, because it really illustrates what we're creating. It gives an example, a tangible example of the product and the service that we're creating. So super powerful and impactful. You can't overlook the power of stories.
Absolutely. And as we're coming to a close here, we have 3 questions that we ask every guest. And it's kind of staying in line with talking about mentoring the youth. One of the questions that I like to ask, because oftentimes in leadership conversations with business owners, tradespeople, there's this common theme that, and you can insert whatever you want there, but I often hear the new people that I'm hiring coming out of high school don't have this, or, I wish the schools would teach this, or they taught me this and they haven't taught the new the students today, the same item. So my question is, if we could get all the school administrators across the world in front of us, what is your one piece of advice as a leadership thought leader that you would tell those school administrators, here's an area that we should be including in the curriculum for our students that will help them become better members of society and better leaders?
Yeah, if there was only one thing that I could teach, it would be bank code, because helping to really understand others, getting that empathy and that emotional intelligence, I think it helps elevate everything in our world. Super important. You mentioned mentoring the youth. I'm a big brother, so I have a 17-year-old little brother that I mentor, and I've been doing it for 3 years now, ever since he was a freshman in high school, and now he's driving and dating, and we're getting into the tough stuff, right? But I think it's so important to take someone under your wing. And one of the things that I talked to Landon about, his name is Landon, and we're Landon and Brandon, which is kind of funny, but we talk about communication, right? And how to really understand and connect with other people. So communication is important. And I think personality science is a missing in our schools today.
So question number 2 is, what is your go-to book that over the years you have continually went back to that has helped you in your successful journey?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think the 1 Minute Millionaire is the single book that's made the biggest impact in my life. That was written by my mentor, Mark Victor Hansen. It's how he and I connected. And that book is both a how-to personal development step-by-step book. And then the other half of the book is a fable, a fictional story that relates. So it's really 2 books in one. It's absolutely brilliant. The 1 Minute Millionaire.
Awesome. And the last question is, in all the technology that's out there today, what is your favorite piece of technology that you find helpful?
Oh, I mean, I've been building AI for 6 years now. My first AI product and platform was back in 2019. And what we're doing with AI at HOA.com is ridiculous. So we are doing conversational AI, where we answer questions from homeowners, and the AI knows everything about the HOA CC&R. So AI is changing the world. And if you're not using AI, then you're falling behind.
Awesome. Brandon, thank you so much for joining us today. I've had a lot of fun in the conversation. I think, I always find myself saying this, but I think it would be great to have you back on. I think there's a lot more that we could unpack. We could spend a whole hour just talking about personalities, right?
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you. And the one thing I didn't throw in there, where can people find out more about you if they want to connect with you or connect with HOA.com?
Yeah, well, HOA.com is pretty clear. Obviously, you know where to go to find a pro. But for me personally, you can go to brandonbarnum.com. There you'll see about me, and you'll be able to book a call with me if that's of interest, and then just connect to me if you want to have me on a podcast, for example. That's where you can do it at brandonbarnum.com. And Amos, thank you for having me on. But more importantly, I just want to acknowledge your leadership, because a lot of people don't understand what it takes to do a show like this, and you focusing on leading leaders is so important. So thank you for doing what you're doing, my friend.
Absolutely. It's fun every day. And for our listeners, if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to check out our past episodes. And most importantly, don't forget to like us on whatever platform that you are listening to us on. Check out our website at McCoyLeadership.com and our social media feeds on LinkedIn and Facebook to get updates. Until next time, thank you so much for listening.